The Radio Forest Podcast.
Are we doing video too, Forrest, or just audio?
You know, I wasn't ready for video, but I got it up and running. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a very exciting day here, and I'm sitting inside the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're announcing our nominees for 2023.
I got to know about those guitars behind you, but yeah, talk about this class. I think this is one of the, I don't want to call it better because it's hard to rank stuff. Yeah. This is a really good nomination class, I believe. It's very diverse. There's a lot of well-needed bands. There's a lot of pleasant surprises that are definitely influential. So why don't you give us the rundown?
You know, you summed it up really well, by the way. And you're right. It is. It's a great class. And for the reasons that you stated, it's broad, it's diverse. There's some that, you know, have been nominated before, and there's others that are very new to being nominated, and it's exciting. So I'll read them quickly, then we'll go back and talk about them.
Sure.
Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, Iron Maiden, Joy Division, New Order as a unit, Cyndi Lauper, George Michael, Willie Nelson, Rage Against the Machine, Soundgarden, The Spinners, A Tribe Called Quest, The White Stripes, and Warren Zevon. 8 of them, it's their first time ever on the ballot. So I'm particularly excited for those folks. And then there's a few returning ones that are the nominating committee keeps saying, we got to keep looking at them. We got to keep evaluating them.
Yeah. Now, explain a little bit how these bands then get in. It's not you. It's not Greg Harris picks his favorite bands, and that's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. Talk about how that selection process happens moving forward from this point.
Yeah. So this ballot that we've just announced will get sent out to over 1,000 voters, of which the largest block of those voters are all the other inductees. So Smokey Robinson votes, Bruce Springsteen votes, James Hetfield of Metallica votes, and so on. That those votes come back and they're tallied. There's also some historians in that mix and some music industry people, but those ballots come back. We tally them up, and the top 5 vote getters are announced in early May, and that will be our class of 2023.
Now, what about ties? And also, does Clapton get 3 votes? Does Dave Grohl get 2 votes?
Yeah, great question. So, interestingly enough, there's also a fan vote that is at vote.rockhall.com. And that fan vote will comprise the composite ballot, and we'll throw that into the mix as well. And remarkably, sometimes it is that close where these things truly, truly matter. So it's pretty exciting. And, that's the voting process. They vote as individuals. So no, they don't get 3 or 4, but there's, X number of living Hall of Famers. And I believe it's in the 600 to 700 individuals. There's only 370 odd inductees, but some of them have multiple members. Mm-hmm. There's numerous members in Nine Inch Nails, numerous members of the Grateful Dead that are part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So in total, more than half of the voting ballots go to Hall of Fame inductees. Mm-hmm. So it's your peers judging your merits, judging your artistic, importance, and them coming back with that decision.
Now, a lot of rock fans like to complain. Let's say like an Iron Maiden fan really only believes that rock and roll encompasses Iron Maiden style music, heavy, aggressive. And I've heard you say before, the Rock Hall is not just 4 white guys with guitars. And I think that speaks strength in what rock and roll is. Because if you ask Rage Against the Machine and you ask Kate Bush and you ask Iron Maiden, they'll all give you 4 different bands that inspired them.
They will. And what's interesting is in saying that, in thinking about fans of a specific type of music, yes, rock and roll is, for Iron Maiden, it's a 3 guitar assault, right?
Yeah.
It's along with the rest of the band, it's that, and it's so much more as well. It's also soul, it's also blues, it's also gospel, it's also country. It all fits under that umbrella. And really, the rock and roll piece is more of an attitude and a spirit than a specific sound.
And haven't you guys decided you're going to expand that a little bit more? Wasn't there something this week about looking more at country and hip hop? And I think bands like Rage Against the Machine and Creedence Clearwater Revival and the Eagles definitely encompass that country sound or hip hop.
Yeah, what it was is we're not going to change, but we we rewrote our mission statement to better reflect what we actually to connect with what we are. And organizations periodically redo their mission statements. We've redone ours a couple times, by the way. And so it was more of a clarification. It's not going to change our direction, but it does help us convey that it's a big tent and it's broad sounds. And underneath it all, it to us, it's all rock and roll. You can have rock as part of it, but that also includes, new wave and synth pop. It's all under rock and roll. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, you ask Nine Inch Nails, they might not mention Iron Maiden, but they definitely talk about Joy Division or Skinny Puppy or somebody like that.
Heck yeah. And I have a feeling Trent Reznor would probably share, he'd probably know some Iron Maiden songs himself. The influences are there for a lot of these artists. Rage is an interesting one because so many of the influences come together to form Rage. But then if you look at Rage Against the Machine and all the bands that came after them, whether they're a metal band, whether they're a hip hop band, whether they're a rock band, I think they pull elements of that. Really kind of an interesting being influenced and then influencing others.
And how does it feel? I think you guys are directly responsible for Dolly Parton doing a rock album. Steven Tyler's going to be on it. John Fogerty's going to be on it. Paul McCartney. I mean, that's because of the Rock Hall, right?
Well, maybe we helped her realize that her attitude, her spirit, everything about it. We also helped her realize that we celebrate the roots of rock and roll, where it came from. We celebrate that it came from blues, gospel, and country. She didn't realize that, Hank Williams and Johnny Cash were in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and she's squarely here. And it was her own idea, like, all right, well, I'm in for what I've done. Let's do it. Let's embrace it. Let's go with it. I'll be curious to hear it. Really excited.
The last question, Bucks County, how do you describe where that's from? I'm from northeastern Pennsylvania. I lived in Wilkes-Barre and also Williamsport. So I'll say, first of all, have you ever seen The Office? They'll say, yes. I go, I'm from that area. Or the Little League World Series, do you know where that is? Yes, that's where I'm from. How do you describe where you're from? Other than New Jersey, obviously.
Yeah, I say that, where I'm from is sort of in the shadow of Philly.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people got on the train to go up to New York from where we were from, or to go down to Philly. So fairly suburban, but a magical place. When I grew up there, it was still farms and more cows than houses.
Yeah.
It's a great part of the world. So I don't know I like your Office suggestion.
Yeah.
I've driven by Scranton a lot and know it well, and had a brother that actually was in the paper sales business. And
Oh no, yeah. That's awesome.
yeah. My son became a fan, and at one point he was driving through there and actually trying to Google Dunder Mifflin. We had to say, man, that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to sneak in one last question. Last year, I didn't get a chance to talk to you. You got sick. And, but the guy I did talk to, he was at the Nine Inch Nails event that they were there. But I want to ask you about 2022. What was it like seeing some of those performances? You got Judas Priest with Dolly Parton, and then you had Mellencamp and Springsteen. How was that?
It was off the charts. Mellencamp and Springsteen came together and performed to honor Jerry Lee Lewis, who had passed the week of the inductions. And they turned a high-end LA theater into a New Jersey bar and just ripped it up. And the Dolly Parton rave up was pretty wild to see Rob Halford of Judas Priest singing a duet with Dolly on Jolene. I think Pink was out there, and Sheryl Crow, and Dave Grohl may have been playing guitar. It was a magical, fun night. And those matchups and surprises are always great. And to see the love and admiration that these artists have for each other, even when they're not in the same category, but they respect people that are really good at what they do. Could be great writers, could be great performers, great singers, or all of the above. So it was magical. By the way, Nine Inch Nails came to the museum. Trent brought back all the former members of the band. They did an interview at our place. Then they played an outdoor show, and the whole band from every era played together, and they just tore it up.
That's awesome.
We're lucky to be able to talk about this stuff and experience this stuff all the time. And encourage folks to hop in and come visit us in Cleveland, see the museum sometime.
Class of 2023 fan vote is up now. It's Greg Harris, President and CEO, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Greg, thanks for the chat today, man.
My pleasure. Have a great day, and thanks for sharing our message.